were accurate. I think the pulse of the people now really suggests that the public can see through PR.
Of a woman who was sort of plucked from the masses to become royalty. And
Diego, California, a seemingly exasperated Thomas makes a heartfelt plea to his daughter.
Well, I love you.
Everyone bought the fairy tale, the authenticity, the empowerment, the self-made Duchess who preached transparency from a Montecito mansion. But what happens when the woman selling Live Your Truth might have built her empire on a version of the truth that doesn't quite line up? Because that's where this story explodes. Not with petty gossip, not with random tabloid noise, but with missing years, sealed documents, erased records, and a half-sister who refuses to shut up. The brand was honesty. The slogan was realness. The promise was transparency. And now, the foundation looks like it might be cracking straight down the middle. And if you think this is about minor inconsistencies, think again. This is about entire chapters that feel removed, scrubbed, locked away. We're talking about a specific year. We're talking about a sudden records restriction in December 2018. We're talking about a rumor that refuses to die no matter how hard it's buried. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Let's get into it. Normally, mapping a celebrity's past is easy. School, early hustle years, awkward auditions, side jobs, breakthrough, photos, receipts, a clean timeline. But when top-tier investigative biographers like Tom Bauer and Andrew Morton tried to trace her early life, they reportedly hit walls, not small obstacles, but full-blown dead ends. These are not amateurs. These are men who dissected global power figures and royal dynasties. And yet, when it came to her, frustration, gaps, a strange inability to fully piece together the real person behind the polished public image.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines.
They described it as bizarre, challenging, like assembling a puzzle after someone removed half the pieces and burned the box cover. Yes, there are visible milestones, Northwestern graduation, deal or no deal suits, but in between, fast forward, blurred edges, jumps that don't quite track. 1 minute she's struggling. The next minute, the lifestyle doesn't match the paychecks. And this isn't about invading privacy. Everyone deserves private years. But when your brand is built on transparency, when you monetize authenticity, when honesty becomes your empire, the story better hold up.
Well, I was hoping that maybe we would have the chance to speak, that she would know I was here.
Because when the narrative feels edited, people notice. The vague hard time stories without the embarrassing, human details most actors can laugh about later. The oddly polished version of struggle. And then the internet started noticing patterns. Small inconsistencies, timeline quirks, and suddenly the half-sister everyone dismissed as bitter, she didn't look so easy to ignore anymore. For years, the script was simple. Meghan good, Samantha jealous, Samantha loud, Samantha attention-seeking. The media ate that narrative like candy. Every time Samantha spoke, it was framed as another bitter outburst. But then something shifted. She stopped yelling. She started hinting. Calm, controlled, strategic. Instead of explosive accusations, she began dropping breadcrumbs, references to documents from the 90s, mentions of things that allegedly existed but were never fully discussed. And that psychological pivot? Genius. Because when someone screams, you tune out. When someone hints at secrets, you lean in. She suggested the authenticity brand wasn't authentic, that stories told to secure a royal marriage might not have aligned with reality, that what Harry was told may not have fully matched the truth. And once that seed was planted, the internet did what it always does. It dug. A specific year kept resurfacing. 1997, a quiet gap, a missing chapter. And then came the move that sent shockwaves. Someone allegedly contacted California birth records regarding the name Rachel Meghan Markle for that year. Usually, you get a clean no record found. Instead, the response reportedly confirmed documentation existed, but was sealed, restricted, locked down. Now pause. Not doesn't exist, not nothing here, but exists and sealed. And here's where it gets explosive. The alleged restriction occurred in December 2018, 7 months after the royal wedding, during global peak attention. Why lock down 2-decade-old records at that moment? What triggered it? Privacy or protection? And it wasn't just that year. Records tied to her first marriage to Trevor Engelson were reportedly difficult to access. Civil ceremony details sparse. Witnesses minimal. It began to look less like coincidence and more like pattern. Then the internet went into overdrive. For a while, all eyes landed on Joe Giuliano, the so-called phantom husband. Vintage photos, conspiracy thumbnails, secret father theories. But when investigators actually scrutinized that angle, it collapsed. No verified marriage, no confirmed child, no solid proof. And here's the twist. Was Joe just misdirection? Because while everyone chased the wrong man, attention shifted away from the people who actually were there. Family. Investigators pivoted. They examined known relatives, photographs, features, genetic resemblance, and a cousin named Shaw Johnson surfaced in discussions. A young person often referred to as Noel appeared in family images, and online analysts began comparing facial structures, ear placement, bone patterns. The resemblance to the Markle side? Uncomfortably strong, according to speculation. The hypothesis became soap opera level dramatic. What if a baby from 1997 was raised with an extended family? What if biological roles were adjusted to protect future prospects? It sounds wild, but once people started connecting timelines, the question shifted from is this ridiculous to why are records sealed? Then another bomb dropped. Allegations surfaced that during her marriage to Trevor Engelson, she underwent surgery affecting future natural conception. If that were true, and that's a massive if, how do later pregnancies align biologically? That question alone fueled surrogacy speculation across online forums. And this is where gossip becomes constitutional conversation. In monarchy, lineage matters. Born of the body isn't just poetic language, it carries legal weight in succession tradition. So if there were undisclosed medical realities or alternative reproductive methods, the implications stretch beyond celebrity rumor. Now let's be clear, none of this is confirmed fact. It is speculation born from sealed documents, unanswered claims, and family members insisting there's more to the story. But here's the piece that keeps making people uncomfortable: the silence. If allegations are outrageous and baseless, typically they're crushed swiftly. Legal letters, public denials, documentation, especially when reputation has been fiercely defended in court before. Yet on these specific claims, no definitive counter evidence publicly presented. Why? Because challenging it formally might require opening the very records that are sealed. Health files, archive documentation, potential genetic verification. And once those doors open, everything becomes examinable. It creates a brutal choice. Fight it and risk exposure of private records. Ignore it and let speculation spread. Meanwhile, questions about pre-royal finances added fuel. Observers noted spending patterns that appeared to exceed documented earnings during early career years. International travel, designer wardrobes, elite social access. If not Harry yet, then who financed that lifestyle? Samantha has hinted she knows details about those arrangements. And then correspondence allegedly linked to Samantha surfaced referencing outstanding issues, offspring, and deceptions. Analysts debated authenticity, but the timing coinciding with a rebrand into lifestyle and wellness was PR nightmare material. Step back. Missing years, sealed 1997 documentation, restricted marriage records, financial questions, family members insisting secrets exist, and an empire built on transparency. Individually, each piece might be explainable. Together, they form a pattern that refuses to stay quiet. The most powerful evidence isn't what was said, it's what hasn't been clarified. Why allow a half-sister to publicly suggest hidden children and concealed medical history without definitive rebuttal? Because once you litigate, you open discovery. Once you open discovery, everything becomes visible. And so the silence continues. Records from 1997 remain restricted. The narrative remains polished. The speculation refuses to fade. And the public, once fully invested in the fairy tale, now watches differently. Because when authenticity is your brand, even one sealed year can feel louder than 1,000 interviews. Now here's where this stops feeling like internet chatter and starts feeling like a pressure cooker that's been quietly building steam for years. Because the longer this sits unresolved, the louder the silence becomes. When the Joe Giuliano theory collapsed, many expected the speculation to die with it. It didn't. It evolved. The internet didn't retreat, it recalibrated. Instead of chasing strangers, it went back to documented family ties. People who were verifiably present. People who appeared in photographs long before royal titles and Netflix deals and Montecito interviews. And that pivot changed everything. Because once attention returned to blood relatives, to cousins, extended family members, childhood connections, the speculation became less about fantasy fantasy and more about proximity. Investigators began comparing timelines again, ages, appearances, overlapping years. The 1997 question refused to disappear. Why that year? Why the sudden restriction in December 2018? Why right after global royal attention reached its peak? That timing is what fuels this fire. December 2018 wasn't random. The royal wedding had already happened. Global media scrutiny was intense. Archie was on the way. Every move was analyzed. And that's allegedly when documentation from decades prior became inaccessible. Not erased, not non-existent, restricted. People don't lock down old records without a reason. And here's the uncomfortable layer nobody wants to touch publicly, because touching it means questioning not just a celebrity narrative, but a monarchy-adjacent one. If there was ever information about prior pregnancies, about altered family roles, about biological timelines that didn't align cleanly with the official story, that wouldn't just be embarrassing gossip. That would be structural, because royal succession is not flexible storytelling. It's rooted in centuries-old legal language. Born of the body isn't metaphorical. It's constitutional tradition. So when online speculation began connecting alleged surgery claims during her first marriage with later pregnancies, people didn't just whisper. They demanded clarification. According to circulating allegations, Trevor Ingleson supposedly revealed she underwent significant surgery affecting future natural conception. Again, allegation, not proven fact. But the contradiction people focused on was biological. If a procedure made natural conception impossible, how were subsequent pregnancies achieved? Surrogacy theories exploded across forums. Artificial bump conspiracies went viral. And while much of that noise is speculative chaos, the root cause is simple, unanswered contradictions. Here's the thing about rumors. They don't thrive in clarity. They thrive in silence. If someone falsely accused you of fabricating pregnancies or hiding prior children, the instinctive response would be immediate proof, medical documentation, legal rebuttal, public shutdown, especially if your brand is built on strength and transparency. Yet in this case, there has been no definitive public disproof of these exact allegations. That absence becomes its own narrative, and Samantha, she hasn't retracted. She hasn't softened. She's doubled down in tone, but strategically. She's referenced financial backing during pre-royal years. She's implied names exist, arrangements existed, support came from somewhere, and that lifestyle during supposed lean years didn't align with struggling actress income. Observers repeatedly pointed to international travel, high-end fashion, elite European access before the royal relationship. That's not cheap. That's not audition circuit budgeting. So the question lingers, who funded it? Because if the self-made narrative has undisclosed chapters involving benefactors or arrangements, that shifts perception dramatically. It turns empowerment branding into something else entirely. And then there's the correspondence reportedly linked to Samantha, referencing hidden matters, offspring, deceptions. Analysts debated whether it was genuine, but what rattled people wasn't just the content, it was the timing. It surfaced during a pivot away from royal tension into lifestyle rebranding, wellness, cooking, aspirational living, and suddenly old allegations resurface like a ghost refusing to stay buried. The pattern becomes hard to ignore. Missing years, sealed records, restricted documents, financial inconsistencies, family members insisting they know more, medical timeline contradictions, and silence where rebuttals wouldn't normally roar. Individually, each piece could have an innocent explanation. Together, they form a mosaic that makes even skeptics pause. But here's the calculation that changes everything. Fighting back legally isn't simple when allegations involve specific years, medical claims, and biological relationships, because litigation invites discovery. Discovery invites documentation. Documentation invites exposure. If someone were to formally challenge Samantha on allegations about 1997, about medical history, about concealed narratives told to secure a royal marriage, courts could compel records, health files, archived documents, restricted materials from that specific year. And that's the risk. The choice becomes brutal: protect privacy at the cost of rumor, or crush rumor at the cost of opening sealed vaults. So far, the strategy appears to favor silence. But silence is loud. The Joe Giuliano distraction proved something powerful. People sense gaps. They just don't always assemble them correctly at first. When one theory collapses, attention sharpens rather than fades. And now, the watching feels different, because this isn't just about tabloids anymore. It's about credibility. It's about whether authenticity branding can survive sustained scrutiny. It's about whether a fairy tale can withstand forensic timeline analysis. If someday full documentation emerges, if sealed 1997 records are unsealed, if medical claims are addressed definitively, if financial backing details are clarified, the outcome won't just settle gossip. It will either reinforce the narrative completely or dismantle it entirely. There is no middle ground. An empire built on transparency cannot survive confirmed deception, but an empire unfairly targeted by baseless rumor could rise stronger with proof. That's why the stakes are enormous, and that's why December 2018 matters so much. Why seal records then? Why that year? Why no definitive rebuttal? Why let a half-sister continue speaking unchecked? These are the questions that keep the speculation alive. The public once embraced the fairy tale without hesitation. Now they analyze it frame by frame. They revisit interviews, they replay early speeches, they examine photographs, they cross-reference timelines, and the longer clarity stays out of reach, the more the mystery grows. Because when a brand is built on living your truth, even one locked document can feel like a thunderclap. Maybe the silence protects something entirely innocent, a private medical matter, a sensitive family issue that deserves dignity. That is possible. Or maybe the silence protects something that, if revealed, would shatter the image permanently. Until records open or definitive documentation appears, the debate won't end. The watchers remain. The questions multiply. And the sealed year of 1997 hangs over everything like a shadow. So now the real question isn't what Samantha says. It's what happens if someone forces the vault open. Because when authenticity is your crown, the truth, whatever it is, eventually decides who gets to wear it. Decides who gets to wear it. Decides who gets to wear it. Decides who gets to wear it.